Boucher is a local Aboriginal company. Um, Nicole is from Mikisew Cree First Nations, and I'm from Fort McKay First Nations, raised and born in Fort McKay, and this is where we raise our children. We call home.
2004, when we started the Boucher Group, we started at the CNRL site with just a handful of employees, maybe 15 from the community of Fort McKay, on a small temporary access road worth about $350,000, and we really never thought that we would actually be where we are today.
We branched out on the civil engineering and substations and growing the civil side very big.
We've grown to over 850 employees, 200 pieces of heavy equipment, and well over $100 million in sales. We are much more than a small civil company. We have grown to provide integrated site support services with various clients throughout this region, including road maintenance, security, medical, and facility maintenance. We contribute our success to our team and the culture that we've created within, and we really hope during your time with Boucher that you feel like you are part of our family.
Business family is very important because that's what everybody drives to be working with Boucher.
Yeah, everyone gets along really, really great. So that's one good thing about here. We're pretty much a family out on site.
Yeah, I think that's what makes us stand out as a company in the Wood Buffalo region is we really emphasize that we're a family-owned company, and we really like to keep that small feel about our business, and I really think that's added to our success.
A big part of our reputation is safety. Safety is zero. This is how we grow our business, is safety, and we got to continue being safe in Boucher.
We encourage you to seek out and understand and learn our guiding principles, and most importantly, our values as a company.
Thank you for being part of our team.
And contributing to our ongoing success. We know that you're going to enjoy being a part of our family.
Our company, our region, our people. Boucher is located in the heart of the regional municipality of Wood Buffalo, one of North America's largest municipalities and an area steeped in Aboriginal tradition and heritage. A total of 5 First Nations and 6 Métis local communities call the region home. The First Nations communities residing within the regional municipality of Wood Buffalo are Mikisew Cree First Nation, Athabasca Chipewyan First Nation, Fort McKay First Nation, Fort McMurray First Nation, and the Chipewyan Prairie Dene First Nation. The 6 Métis communities in the region include Local 125 of Fort Chipewyan, Local 122 in Fort McKay, Locals 1935 and 2020 in Fort McMurray, Local 780 in Anzac, Local 193 in Conklin. Boucher is the corporate brand of 5 subsidiaries. These include Boucher Contracting Limited, Boucher Site Services, Boucher Management Services, Boucher Administration Services, Boucher CETA Services Limited. Boucher is locally owned by David Boucher of the Fort McKay First Nations and his wife Nicole Bork Boucher of the Mikisew Cree First Nations, both longtime residents of the area who are actively involved in their community. David is a previous counselor of the Fort McKay First Nations Band. Nicole is the president and full member of the Northeastern Alberta Aboriginal Business Association, NABA, and is also a member of the Keyano College Board of Governors. The Boucher mission embodies simplicity and respect for others. First, we strive to build and maintain long-term business relationships with each and every client by offering safe, dependable services at competitive prices. Second, we aim to provide employment opportunities and mentorship to people of Aboriginal descent. Finally, we are committed to building lasting, mutually beneficial working relationships with qualified individuals and companies that share the philosophies Boucher holds dear. Boucher has an all-encompassing vision to be Canada's leading Aboriginal and integrated site services business, exceeding all expectations related to safety and service delivery, while inspiring and supporting our culture and communities. To accomplish this level of commitment, Boucher holds 3 core values at the heart of everything we do. We care about our people, our community, and our environment, and we believe in doing what's right in the right way. We inspire our community by encouraging its members and committing to building long-term relationships that are mutually beneficial. It is our goal to help create a better community for all of us. We deliver customized solutions locally, ensuring the highest standards of safety and quality and offering full-service support. At the heart of these core values are the guiding principles. Everything we do is governed by our principles, which define our character and culture. They have been at the core of Boucher since its inception. These enduring qualities are a fundamental strength of our business. It is very important that every team member is an ambassador of the following guiding principles. Every team member is a part of the Boucher family. We respect and value each other equally. We treat others the way we want to be treated. We inspire others through our motivation and enthusiasm. The foundation of Boucher is built on integrity and support. We remain focused and positive in adverse circumstances. We seek understanding first in all situations. We are fully committed to our community, our team, and ourselves. We lead by example. We strive to be leaders in safety. Company policies. We will now run through an overview of a few of Boucher's company policies. For more information on company policies, please refer to the Team Policy Manual, copies of which are available at each worksite. At the core of Boucher's company policies are 4 key principles: competence, care, consideration, accountability. These principles are infused into our company policies and procedures, ensuring Boucher, its team members, and its subcontractors are responsible and reliable. That responsibility and reliability begins with our promise to protect your privacy. We strictly adhere to Alberta's Personal Information Protection Act, which states that every individual has the right to access their personal information, know how their information is used and disclosed, know how their information is stored and protected, provide consent for the collection, use, and disclosure of their information, request corrections or changes to their information. All new employees hired by Boucher will serve a 90-day probationary period. After this probationary period has been successfully completed, all full-time employees will be eligible to join the company pension and health benefits, including extended health and dental coverage. For employees who are project or seasonal, they will be eligible to join after completing 12 months of consecutive employment. The health and dental is a shared cost between Boucher and team members. The cost share portion will be reviewed annually and may be adjusted accordingly to reflect market increases for the products delivered. A guide will accompany the health and dental enrollment information, and it is important for employees to familiarize themselves with their benefit coverage. All employees are required to contribute a minimum of 1% of their salary to the Boucher pension plan. Boucher will match contributions to a maximum of 5% of a team member's salary. Boucher provides camp accommodations for all eligible team members. It is paramount for team members to remember that staying in camp accommodations is a privilege. Employees using camp accommodations are required to comply with all camp policies and procedures, as well as all Boucher policies and procedures. The consumption of alcohol or recreational drugs is not permitted during a team member's work cycle stay. Respect for the accommodations and surrounding property is important. Team members must adhere to all client and site-specific requirements. If damages occur to the property or should a team member check in late or fail to show up, any resulting charges will be deducted from their pay. Travel arrangements will also be provided for all eligible team members. Again, these travel arrangements are considered to be a privilege and must not be abused. Each site has a coordinator that is responsible for booking all flights. Team members are not permitted to book their own flights or change their flight schedule. If a team member does not show up for a booked flight, they will be responsible for paying the cost of that flight. It is the employee's responsibility to ensure Boucher has the most current information with respect to your valid license and abstract. The authorization for release of your driving records is required in the event Boucher must check on your status in the future for any reason. This authorization contains information on your responsibility as a driver while employed with Boucher. Employees employed as commercial drivers are required to submit a 5-year commercial abstract annually as per Alberta Transportation Regulations. Boucher is committed to providing a safe and inclusive work environment and has a strict workplace harassment and violence policy. Under no circumstances does Boucher tolerate any form of workplace harassment or violence, and Boucher will be quick to respond to any reports of incidents. All Boucher team members have the right to be treated fairly and to be respected by everyone. They are expected to treat their co-workers with the same consideration. At Boucher, we consider harassment to include any action or repeated behavior that is unwelcome by or intimidates another team member or otherwise denies that individual dignity and respect. This includes unwelcome verbal and physical conduct related to race, religious beliefs, color, gender, gender identity, gender expression, physical disability, mental disability, age, ancestry, place of origin, marital status, source of income, family status, or sexual orientation. Examples of harassment include physical abuse, threats, derogatory remarks, or inappropriate jokes, gestures, taunts, or innuendos directed at any team member. Harassment also includes sexual harassment. Examples of sexual harassment include physical conduct, such as pinching, patting, rubbing, or any type of contact that makes the recipient feel uncomfortable or violated. It also includes dirty jokes, leering, and inappropriate pictures, comments, suggestions, innuendos, or sexual demands. Examples of workplace violence include any threatened, attempted, or actual conduct of one team member that results in or is likely to result in the physical injury of another team member. Each team member is responsible for their own conduct. Regardless of the form of harassment, it does not have to be intentional to be valid, and any act of workplace harassment or violence may be cause for termination. Boucher will respond in an objective and timely manner to reports of harassment or violence. Any legitimate complaints will be investigated and all information will be kept confidential. Each team member is also responsible for ensuring their own safety in a situation of harassment or violence. Once they are safe, they can report the incident to the appropriate authority, whether it is the site manager, a supervisor, or the police. Cooperation is required during investigations, and unauthorized disclosure of information in the form of gossip is discouraged, as it strips the individuals involved in their privacy and anonymity. Boucher expects all team members to be physically and mentally fit for work, as this directly impacts the safety of the work environment. This means that each team member should be physically and mentally ready to perform at the beginning and for the duration of each shift. This includes avoiding the use of alcohol or recreational drugs at any time during a work cycle. No team member should be in possession of or distribute alcohol, drugs, or drug paraphernalia. Team members must report any use of prescription or non-prescription drugs for the treatment of a medical condition to their immediate supervisor. It is possible that drugs of this sort, as well as herbal treatments, can have side effects that can compromise a team member's ability to carry out their duties safely. A physician should always be consulted to ensure medication will not interfere with workplace safety. Employees are expected to adhere to Boucher's drug and alcohol policies and site-specific drug and alcohol policies. Boucher reserves the right to administer drug and alcohol screening. Employees may be asked to go through screening if there is probable cause to suspect an employee may be under the influence of drugs or alcohol and that their ability to work safely has been compromised. Should an employee refuse to provide a sample for drug and alcohol screening, they will be treated as though they have received a positive test result and will be referred to Human Resources. Boucher also reserves the right to search any employee's property without warning. This includes searches of lockers, toolboxes, lunch bags, and clothing. Boucher will confiscate any alcohol or illegal drugs found in an employee's possession, which will result in disciplinary action up to and including termination. All employees have the responsibility to protect Boucher's assets, including information and goodwill, as well as property. Employees are encouraged to raise genuine concerns about any breach of ethics or integrity at the earliest possible stage and in the right way. All concerns will be treated seriously and investigated appropriately. Violations include fraud or financial malpractice, corruption, bribery, or blackmail, criminal offenses, endangering the health and safety of an individual, concealment, attempting to cover up, any of the above. Employees are encouraged to raise concerns to their line manager, the next level of management, or if either management is identified, then human resources. If this is not possible to follow the reporting procedure, a designated reporting line is directed to the CEO or a member of the executive management team at 780-713-5246. Please review the Ethics and Integrity Policy for more information. HS&E information. We will now run through an overview of Boucher's health, safety, and environmental information. For more detailed information, please refer to Boucher's Health, Safety, and Environmental Manual, a copy of which is located at each worksite. Boucher's Health, Safety, and Environmental Manual is based on the regulations outlined in the Alberta Occupational Health and Safety Act, which defines the responsibilities of the employer, senior management, supervisors, and team members. Boucher's health, safety, and environmental standards, policies, procedures, and practices must, at a minimum, comply with current legislation and industry standards. In compliance with the Alberta Occupational Health and Safety Act, Boucher is required to make every reasonable and practicable effort to protect the health, safety, and welfare of every team member, ensure team members are aware of their rights and duties under the law, provide competent supervisors, train team members, and prevent violence and harassment, protect the safety of contractor or subcontractor team members or anyone entering a Boucher worksite, work with the Joint Worksite Health and Safety Committee and HSE advisors. Senior management is responsible for providing a safe, healthy, and environmentally secure workplace. They must ensure management and supervisors have adequate training in current health and safety standards. Supervisors must be competent and compliant with Boucher's health and safety policies, procedures, and practices. They are required to lead by example. It is the supervisor's responsibility to inform employees of all potential health and safety hazards, to report all concerns to Boucher, and to actively prevent harassment and violence in the workplace. It is also the supervisor's responsibility to ensure that all reported incidents are adequately investigated and resolved. Employees are required to comply with all health and safety policies, procedures, and practices. They must work in such a manner to ensure the protection of their own health and safety and the health and safety of their coworkers. Employees are responsible for reporting all real and potential threats to health and safety and any potential environmental hazard. They must not cause or become involved in any harassment or violence in the workplace. When it comes to health and safety, every team member has 3 rights: the right to know about potential hazards and access to basic health and safety information on the work site, the right to participate in discussions regarding workplace health and safety and to participate in health and safety committees, the right to refuse dangerous work if they believe there are reasonable grounds to suspect the conditions are dangerous. In such situations, the team member has the right to be paid while the work conditions are being investigated. Other team members can be assigned the work only after they have been informed of the refusal by their coworker, the reason for the refusal, and understand their own right to refuse the work. Boucher requires all team members to adhere to the Boucher environmental policy when performing their duties. These include the following: to minimize the effect of the operation on the natural environment, to utilize best management practices to guide and control the potential effect of Boucher's operations on the natural resources in the area, to minimize any disturbance to the natural surroundings, to protect cultural, historical, or fossilized artifacts that may be discovered, to reduce, reuse, or recycle whenever possible. All team members are responsible for controlling workplace hazards. When a potential hazard is identified, team members must follow this hierarchy of controls. Determine whether the hazard can be eliminated. Determine whether a substitution can be made, such as selecting an alternate product, tool, or piece of equipment. Determine whether the controls on a piece of equipment or tool can be engineered to improve protection. Determine whether there are safe operating procedures or job hazard assessments in place for each task that team members perform. Prior to starting any on-site work, employees are required to fill out a field-level hazard assessment. The field-level hazard assessment acts as the first line of defense for incident control because it causes employees to stop and consider how they will eliminate and/or control potential hazards before they begin their work. The field-level hazard assessment has 5 steps. 1. Stop and think. 2. Identify potential hazards. 3. Assess risks. 4. Control risks. 5. Start or resume work. It is important for employees to review the field-level hazard assessment and make necessary changes as their work progresses. The field-level hazard assessment and field-level risk assessment is one important way Boucher and its employees can responsibly identify potential hazards and risks and eliminate and/or control them. The field-level hazard assessment, field-level risk assessment is a tool. It is meant to be used throughout the workday and to be reviewed each time a job changes to ensure there are no new hazards or risks. The field-level hazard assessment, field-level risk assessment card must remain on the job site at all times. Any individual who enters the worksite must be informed of all potential hazards and risks. The field-level hazard assessment, field-level risk assessment card is to be given to the supervisor at the end of the workday so it can be reviewed and filed. When filling out the field-level hazard assessment, field-level risk assessment, employees must identify potential hazards for each step of the job. Assess potential risk in relation to each step of the job. Identify ways to control potential risks. Put those controls in place. Employees filling out the field-level hazard assessment form will notice the form has 2 pages. The first page includes a list of potential hazards that is divided into the following categories: overhead working at height hazards, equipment hazards, work environment hazards, physical energy hazards, personal limitations or hazards. It is important that the team member filling out the form check either the checkmark box or an A box for each of the hazards listed. Thoroughness is imperative to ensure a safe working environment. The second page allows the team member to list the following: the work task being performed, the hazards associated with that task, the hazard level, either high, medium, or low, plans to eliminate or control the risk. At the bottom of the second page, information on job completion can be recorded and the team members responsible are listed. There is a place for management to sign off once they have reviewed the form. Before the work begins at a new site, management will carry out an assessment of the work site to identify existing and potential hazards. They will complete the job hazard assessment form, which will address all physical, geographical, process, chemical, biological, ergonomic, and other site-specific hazards. The job hazard assessment form outlines a step-by-step process on how to complete a job safely. It must be reviewed by team members and supervisors before any work is started. This will ensure that team members and supervisors understand all aspects of the job. If at any time there is uncertainty regarding the job or if conditions change, team members should refer to the job hazard assessment for guidance. When filling out the job hazard assessment form, the team member will see that the form requires the name or title of the job. It then asks for a list of tools and equipment required, materials required, personal protective equipment. Below this section, the team member can list the following for the job: the sequence of steps, the potential accidents or hazards associated with each step, the recommended safe job procedure or control for each step. At the very bottom of the form, the name of the team member who developed the assessment is required, along with the date it was developed, who reviewed and dated the assessment, as well as who approved it, and the date it was approved. All personal protective equipment worn on the job must be approved by the Canadian Standards Association. All work areas require the following personal protective equipment to be worn at all times: hard hat, safety glasses with side shields, safety footwear in the form of work boots that are a minimum of 6 inches high at the ankle, reflective clothing such as coveralls with reflective markings or a safety vest, gloves that provide protection from sharp, hot, or jagged material or pinch points, hearing protection. Additional personal protective equipment may be required for specific hazards. A face shield in addition to safety glasses when the work includes actions such as grinding or using a high-pressure wash. Respiratory protection ranging from a dust mask to a self-contained breathing apparatus that is worn according to the hazard present. Boucher supplies half-face air-purifying respirators and the required filters and cartridges to protect against exposure to various substances. Respiratory personal protective equipment will be identified during pre-job planning and issued as required. Hearing protection, such as earplugs, earmuffs, or molded ear protection, must be worn whenever noise hazards exceed 85 decibels. All work areas where such hazards exist must be posted accordingly, and all persons entering must wear approved hearing protection. Boucher will provide hearing tests to all new full-time team members within 6 months of hire and complete hearing tests at least once every 2 years to meet the occupational health and safety requirements. If a team member is unsure of what personal protective equipment they require, they should check with their supervisor before starting a job. Boucher provides access to coveralls for maintenance and operation team members. If not wearing coveralls, team members are required to wear long pants and either a short-sleeved or long-sleeved shirt. No loose or ragged clothing is permitted, including clothing with non-detachable hoods. No jewelry is to be worn near rotating or moving equipment. This includes necklaces, rings, and bracelets. Exposure to hazardous materials can cause a variety of health conditions. These materials are also a safety concern, as they can cause or contribute to fire, explosions, and other incidents when improperly handled. The Workplace Hazardous Materials Information System, also known as WHMIS, was developed to provide companies and their team members with information regarding hazardous material and how to handle it to protect their health and safety while on the job. WHMIS is a 3-part system that includes labels, material safety data sheets, and worker education. There are additional controls required to ensure workplace hazards are controlled. When climbing ladders or mounting or dismounting equipment, team members are required to use the 3-point contact rule. The 3-point contact rule requires 3 points of the body to be in contact with the ladder or equipment at all times. This can be any combination of hands and feet. Team members must also be facing the ladder or equipment. Walk-around inspections are another form of control. Walk-around inspections require a team member to visually check for proper fluid levels, possible leaks, and structural damage to ensure equipment is in safe operating condition. There should be no electrical, mechanical, or system deficiencies. The walk-around inspection will also ensure fire extinguishers and fire suppression systems are fully charged and operational. Team members will listen for unusual noises in equipment that might indicate mechanical failure. Any concerns found during the walk-around inspection must be reported to a supervisor immediately. Team members must not operate any equipment they believe to be unsafe, that could be dangerous to use, or that could result in damage to the equipment. A flashlight is required when conducting a walk-around inspection at night or any time that visibility is poor. Team members must watch out for potential slips, trips, and falls at all times. When reporting an incident, team members must include near-miss incidents. All incidents and near-miss incidents must be reported, regardless of their severity. Incidents that must be reported immediately include injuries, serious damage to equipment or property, environmental incidents, and any unsafe conditions or practices that could cause a serious incident. Near-miss incidents that are serious or potentially serious must also be reported immediately. Near-miss incidents of a less serious nature must be reported within 24 hours of the time the incident occurred. Team members must respond appropriately in case of an emergency. The procedure for responding to and reporting an emergency starts with a team member attempting to contact their supervisor by two-way radio, cell phone, telephone, or word of mouth. If the supervisor cannot be reached, the team member must take the appropriate actions. No team member should at any time risk their own health and safety to rescue another individual, extinguish a fire, or prevent damage to property or equipment. Team members must contact emergency response personnel immediately and provide a clear message that states, "This is an emergency. My name is," what the emergency is, such as an injury or fire, the location of the emergency, the location of the closest emergency meeting point. If the building or work area needs to be evacuated, all team members must report to the designated emergency assembly area. No team member is to return to the building or work area until their supervisor instructs them that it is safe to do so. If a team member believes a piece of equipment is not safe to operate, they should refrain from operating it and notify their supervisor immediately as to why they feel it is unsafe. The team member and supervisor together can determine whether the equipment should be locked out. If a piece of equipment is locked out, 2 do not operate tags are required to label it as such. 1 attached to the steering wheel using a plastic tie to secure it. 1 attached to the key of the machine using a plastic tie to secure it. The key must be given to the supervisor, who will contact the mechanic and inform them of the issue. Electrical hazards. Electrical hazards can be caused by wear or other deterioration, improper installation, inadequate maintenance, improper use, damage, or breakage. The effects of electricity on the body depends on the amount of current and the length of time the body is exposed to the current. The higher the amperage, the more severe the damage. Individuals exposed to low amperages can suffer muscle spasms and be unable to break free of the source of electricity. Lengthy exposure to low amperages can result in death due to ventricular fibrillation of the heart. Short periods of high amperage current can result in ventricular fibrillation more quickly. Very high voltages can cause the individual to be blown off the circuit, potentially resulting in severe surface burns and injuries at the entrance and exit points of the electricity. High voltages can also cause temporary paralysis of the respiratory system, resulting in breathing failure and severe muscle spasms that can result in fractures. When the need arises for a team member to approach a piece of equipment or machinery, there are safe approach limits and communication that must occur. The team member must ensure they receive acknowledgement from the operator prior to approaching the equipment, and they must know who they are communicating with. Never assume approach is safe. Use proper radio etiquette, speak with a clear voice, and wait for a reply. Never approach a piece of equipment on its blind side. Be sure to review and understand the safe approach limits of each piece of equipment. Remember that if they are unable to see the operator, chances are the operator is unable to see them. When communicating with the operator prior to approaching any equipment, team members must ask an operator if they may enter their area of work prior to entering, state their business in the area, make the operator aware of any changes. All operators have specific rules and guidelines for team members and vehicles approaching their equipment. The operator must be out of their cab prior to the team member approaching. Equipment must have all implements grounded. When a team member is delivering supplies, the operator must get off the machine. Team members must not throw supplies to the operators. When a team member approaches an operator on foot, the operator sees very little of their body because the operator's line of vision is often obstructed by the equipment they are operating. This is the case even if the team member can see the operator clearly. Once a team member has made radio contact with an operator, they must be aware of the no access area and where it is safe to approach the piece of equipment. For all equipment, team members are not permitted to enter a 50-meter radius around the equipment prior to making radio contact. When it is safe to enter the 50-meter radius. For a haul truck, the team member must be within the operator's line of sight, directly in front of the equipment, and not go closer to the equipment than 10 meters. At this point, the operator must get out of the truck to speak with the team member. For a track dozer, the team member must stay within the operator's line of sight on either side of the equipment and not go closer to the equipment than 10 meters. At this point, the operator must get out of the truck to speak with the team member. For a grader, the team member must stay within the 180-degree area in front of the equipment and not go closer to the equipment than 10 meters. At this point, the operator must get out of the truck to speak with the team member. Team members must understand that every piece of equipment is different, and they are required to familiarize themselves with the field of view of the piece of equipment they are approaching. Boucher has a set of 15 absolute rules that every team member is expected to know, understand, and follow at all times. Compliance with these rules is a condition of employment. Failure to comply with these rules may result in disciplinary action up to and including termination. The rules are as follows. 1. Team members are required to work in a safe, responsible manner by refusing unsafe work, working in accordance with applicable legislated requirements and Boucher's standards, policies, and procedures, avoiding the use of unsafe tools and equipment, including homemade devices, and avoiding the falsification of company records or documents, which is prohibited and subject to corrective action. 2. Team members are required to report fit for work, which means that no team member should report to work under the influence of possessing, selling, or distributing alcohol or drugs. A team member suspected of being under the influence of alcohol or drugs will be removed from the job site immediately. Team members taking medications that might affect their performance must inform their supervisor. Fit for work does not only mean alcohol and drug use, it can also include any team member who is distracted, overly tired, or ill. Any team member who is not fit for work should stay home. All over-the-counter medications must be used responsibly, and a doctor should be consulted if a team member is unsure of the effects of a medication. 3. Team members must always be respectful of Boucher, all client team members, and client property. No workplace violence or harassment, theft, vandalism, or any other abuse or misuse of property will be tolerated. The highest degree of housekeeping is required of team members at all times in their work area and their equipment. 4. The possession of firearms, ammunition, or weapons of any kind is strictly prohibited in the workplace. Only approved Olfa self-retracting knives are permitted for use on the worksite. 5. Appropriate personal protective equipment must be worn in all work areas at all times. The minimum standard personal protective equipment includes the following Canadian Standards Association approved equipment: hard hat, safety eyewear appropriate to the hazard exposure, safety footwear at least 6 inches high at the ankle, hearing protection in areas with noise levels higher than 84 decibels and when operating heavy equipment, and high visibility vests or clothing. 6. All injuries, incidents, and near misses must be reported to a supervisor immediately and investigated to determine the cause and prevent a recurrence. The scene will be frozen until released by a supervisor, and any first aid required will be administered promptly. 7. Smoking is only permitted in designated areas, as dictated by local bylaws. Many Boucher clients will restrict site access if smoking rules are violated. 8. Team members must wear a seatbelt at all times when operating vehicles or equipment. This applies to operators and passengers, and there are no exceptions. Failure to comply will result in disciplinary action up to and including termination. 9. Team members are required to operate all vehicles and equipment in a safe manner. They must not exceed posted speed limits and must drive according to road conditions. Team members must also avoid distractions while operating vehicles or equipment. The use of personal electronic devices while operating a vehicle or equipment is prohibited. All Boucher vehicles are GPS-enabled to ensure compliance with safe driving procedures and their anti-idling policy. 10. All team members must have a valid license to operate their assigned class of vehicle or equipment. This includes a valid Class 5 license or equivalent. Driver's abstracts will be checked every year to ensure licenses are valid. 11. Team members are only permitted to operate equipment when they are deemed competent and authorized to do so by a supervisor, such as a coach, trainer, or Boucher-approved external trainer. Team members must be properly trained for every piece of equipment they operate, and training is offered on site. 12. Team members are required to use all available guards and safety devices when operating tools and equipment. The disabling of safety devices is prohibited. 13. Team members are required to isolate all forms of hazardous energy. This includes locking out equipment or power sources that are being repaired, serviced, maintained, or inspected. A tag must be attached to the equipment or power source explaining why the lock is in place, who applied the tag, and the date it was applied. The effectiveness of the isolation must be proven before work can commence with the equipment. A team member must never remove a lock that is not theirs. 14. Team members are required to obtain the proper permit or authorization before starting work. It is the responsibility of supervisors to ensure adherence to work permits. Work may not begin until hazard assessments are conducted and necessary corrective action is taken and a permit is obtained. 15. No team member is to check any pressurized system, including hydraulic reservoirs or radiators. If there is an issue, the supervisor and the maintenance department should be contacted immediately. Safety Incentive Program. Boucher offers a safety incentive program to encourage team members to get actively involved in creating a safe working environment. Please follow up with your safety advisor for further information on the program. Thank you for joining Boucher. We value our employees and hope you'll find working with us satisfying and rewarding. Welcome to our team.